Welcome to the Pivot Point Podcast. I'm Ronnie Tyler.
And I'm Lamar Tyler. We are the founders of Traffic Sales and Profit, the premier home for Black entrepreneurs in the United States of America and abroad. And today we're talking about something special with the pivot, Ronnie, because you know what I love about pivoting?
What?
It's a process. And I'm going to tell you this, if you are an entrepreneur, there are times when you are going to have to pivot in your life, in your business. Have we ever had to pivot?
Many times.
How many? Would you guess?
Right now, we're pivoting. Yes, many times. There have been little pivots, but big pivots, 3 or 4, I would say. What about you?
3 or 4, exactly. And we want to talk about what it's like for you to be able to pivot, how to get through it. And that's why we want to share stories like this. And I'm excited because today we have something coming to y'all. Ronnie, did you know that Black Americans are the fastest growing segment of vegetarians and vegans growing in this country? Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that. I know.
You didn't know that.
Yes, I did. Well, at least I know that everybody wants to be vegan. How about that? Everybody wants to be vegan.
I'm talking about real legit.
Legit
not like I'm on a
vegan?
diet this week, so let me not eat meat. I'm talking about legit vegans, vegetarians.
Yes.
Black folks are fastest
I knew
growing
that,
segment.
Lamar. You're surprised because I had bacon yesterday? I know this.
Is sausage still on your breath? Hey, answer me this then, since you already know it. How many Black vegetarians and vegans are in this country? Guess.
How many?
Yep.
I would say, I don't know.
All right. Good answer. Well, if you want to know, guess what? I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes. But before we do that, we got a great conversation today with Jeff Austin, AKA also known as Plant-Based Jeff. We're going to talk about what it's like to build a brand up to nearly $500,000 per year in the vegan vegetarian space. So Jeff, what's going on, man? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
Let me put the official credentials. Plant-Based Jeff. Out here calling you, you know, like we just on your 9 to 5 out here, right? Plant-Based Jeff, man. Right. Thank you for joining the Pivot Point Podcast.
Happy to be here.
So I want to talk today about this brand that you built, while also operating a successful 9 to 5 career,
correct?
Right, in a space that Black folks are still just getting accustomed to, which is a different lifestyle of veganism.
Right.
But tell me this first, right? Like why vegan? Are you vegan?
I would consider myself more plant-based.
Plant-based.
So,
okay.
So
what's the difference?
Levels.
Yeah, tell me the difference.
So vegan.
I told you, Ronnie Ronnie had a sausage this morning. Big, sausage links with bacon on the side, just no bread, no eggs.
Look at me, no shame.
She getting me dead out. So what would you say? What's the difference?
So it's 3
that?
categories. So you got vegetarian, which is pretty much saying, hey, I don't do, any meat whatsoever. But they will do, cheese and the eggs and whatnot. And then you got vegan, which eliminates the cheese and the eggs and no meat. But sometimes it's more processed food. So, more impossible meats and stuff. That's more catered towards vegan. My lifestyle is more plant-based. So I like real, like 1 ingredient foods, like a macro bowl that contains like quinoa, wild rice, Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, that type of deal, chickpeas, lentils. So it's a difference. So the plant-based is a more healthier option out of all of the 3, but it all depends on, blood type, family history, it just all depends. But it works for me.
Yeah. Jeff, you're in a plant-based lifestyle. Let me ask you a question. Is that leather that you have on right now?
I get that a lot.
The streets are watching. I know somebody on this right now.
I know. This is actually vegan leather.
Okay.
So it's not the real thing. So pleather, but some people in a vegan lifestyle, they don't subscribe to any of that. With the leather belts, shoes, or whatever. But I did it more so for the health reason. So I may have on some tennis shoes that may have leather in them, but when I have the option, I try to go for something with vegan leather.
That's good, because one of the things we always talk about is that it seems like if I'm in the grocery store, if I'm at some of the restaurants, all the food, I think when people think vegan, vegetarian, that it's healthy, but some of the stuff look like it ain't healthy. Don't we talk about that, Ronnie?
I think they go out of their way to make it taste or look like the meat dishes, but it looks so very unhealthy. Right.
And to speak to that even more, I mean, I tell people to always read the labels. Everything that I look at, even to this day, 6 years in, I still flipped the package. I need to know what I'm eating. So I'm looking at the sodium content. I'm looking at carbs, saturated fat, all of this stuff. And if you look at some of the vegan items, it could be just, neck and neck with, regular meat or even higher. So you have to be careful out here. So that's why I love, more plant-based, just real food, a little bit of salt, a little bit of seasoning, not doing too much, but, it can be fun if you get creative with it.
How'd you get into this, like this plant-based lifestyle?
So 6 years ago, I was like 70 pounds heavier than I am now. Bad doctor's report. I went to the doctor. All of my markers were up, elevated, cholesterol, everything. Just overweight, just wasn't feeling the best me. And I was like, hey, I got to make a change. The doctor said, hey, you got to make a change. And when a doctor tell us sometimes in our community, sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't.
Well, we listen.
To be honest.
We were like the man trying to keep us down.
Right. And see, I'm from Mississippi, so, health is just not a top priority at times. And so I've seen family members, uncles, cousins, die prematurely, 30s, 40s. So I said, I don't want that to be my fate. So I was like, I got to make a change like ASAP. And so my story is similar to a lot of people, watch the What the Health documentary. And that's kind of like a catalyst. And like when you watch that and you kind of really see what's going on, you're like, man, I need to make a change. And so as soon as I watched that documentary, I literally just went cold turkey and just started throwing food out, the freezer, chicken, just everything in the trash, and just said, hey, this is the route I'm going down. I don't have all the answers, but, I'll figure it out along the way. I got friends in the community, friends that, are already vegan and whatnot. And, I can learn, along the way. And that's when the journey started.
Yeah, that documentary, I'm scared to watch that. I know I need to make some changes,
Yeah.
But I'm going to watch it now. You inspired me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like, as you begin to make that transition, besides losing the weight, did you feel different?
I did feel different. A lot of the medications that I was on about 8 different medications. So
wow,
always
every day, like is it
every single
so
day.
Every morning?
Well, throughout the day.
Throughout the day.
And
okay.
See, this is the confusing part, and I tell people don't be a slave to your medications, because if you don't eat right, that's the price you have to pay. Your healthy lifestyle. It was just a result of my lifestyle, what I was eating. And so I had to take the pills. So I ate different pills, but at different times. It's like, hey, I couldn't take these 2 together. I had to take these 3 at night. I had to take this one with food. I had to take this one without food. And so it just got very frustrating. I said, I didn't want this to be the rest of my life. So I need to make a change, like ASAP.
I feel like this conversation is so timely because everybody now is choosing to take medication to lose weight.
Yeah.
And there's a whole debate on social media about the fact that, okay, this could be necessary to lose weight because some people just can't lose weight, but for the rest of your life, choosing to take medication to lose weight, there could be some ramifications for your body, right?
Yeah, it could. And I tell everybody, lifestyle changes. Like I know people, Ozempic, all of these things are very popular right now. And if you need it, you need it, but at some point change the lifestyle so that, you can wean off the dependency of it and say, hey, now I changed my lifestyle. I can eat right and I don't need that stuff. But I don't knock anybody. If you need it to jumpstart you and do whatever you need to do, I don't knock that, because like you said, it's people with all types of medical issues, health issues, and you may need that. But at some point you need to say, hey, it's a lifestyle switch. I'm gonna start eating right. I'm gonna start exercising. And like you say, you'll notice a difference, like, clarity, and that's how I started to get ideas about the business. Like, man, I can turn this thing into a business. That came from, losing the weight and just recording myself every single day, just being committed. Just letting everybody know what I was eating, what I was doing, what exercise, and people just kept asking questions. And I was like, man, the business was just born out of my simple lifestyle change.
Yeah, I'm curious before I ask you about it, because I definitely want to ask you about that next. What was the reaction of everybody around you? Was it everybody kind of cheering you on, supporting you, wanting more information? Was it some people that was like, man, you ain't serious about this? Or was it, You from Mississippi?
Yeah.
Somebody in Mississippi had to be like,
a lot of pushback. It was a lot of pushback. I
you
couldn't
gonna get
come
these
home.
pig feet and hog maws.
Man, I
Jeff.
couldn't
Stop
come
playing.
home without, people thinking I'm sick. You all right? I know you out there in Atlanta. It's crazy out there. People were just like throwing all types of stuff, but I didn't let this stop me. Because, a lot of times the people that make fun of you will be asking you, how did you do it later? Like, I see it all the time. So I didn't let that faze me because I know I had to get my health in order. And so, I got, roasted on, joked, going out with friends. Oh, Jeff can't come with us. And I went through all of that. But I knew at the end of the day, I had a goal. I was like, I had to lose this weight. I had to get off these medications. And, with that, when you have a goal in mind, the distractions just kind of fall to the wayside. All the other side chatter, I'm like, I got a goal to hit. No medication, 50, 60 pounds, 70 pounds down. That's the goal. And that's what I woke up with every day. And that was the driving force. So it wasn't about money or anything. But I know, when people say health is wealth, once I got the health part right, I can go get the money. You can always go and get the money. But having a lot of money, being the richest person in the graveyard isn't the move. I want to get it right now and then open up the doors for other opportunities.
That's good. Now, let me ask you about the business. So you're doing this, you lose the weight,
right?
You're feeling better, you got more clarity, starting to get ideas around it.
Right.
How did you actually start the plant-based Jeff business? Like, what was the foundation of that thing?
Well, the foundation was, again, like I mentioned, I was just filming myself. And so I was taking stuff, a lot of my holistic teachers and healers and stuff, everybody was talking about this stuff called CMOS. And they were like, hey, man, you got to take this, because in the health community, stuff comes in fads and, it's
True.
in one day. I don't know if you all remember like noni juice, like that was big in Atlanta. Like at one point, like it's always something coming through where it's like the next big thing. But CMOS, it really worked for me. I felt, my appetite was getting suppressed. My sugar cravings were coming down. All of the congestion that I had with excessive mucus, it was clearing that out and helping me lose weight. So I was like, man, this stuff really works, because I wouldn't stand behind something if it didn't work. And so out of that, people started asking me like, hey, where do you get it from? And I was just kind of referring people. I was like, hey, you can get it from this guy, you can go to this website. And people were like, man, these people not sending me my stuff. I can't get a hold of them. They don't open up the shop till 2 p.m. in West End. Like, it was just so much stuff. And they were like, can we just get it from you? I was like, I guess so. And the business was born just right then and there. I was like, let me just whip up a few jars, and I think I whipped up my first batch was like 15, 16 jars. And I just sold out at work. I took it to work, sold out. They told friends. And before long, people were meeting me at work to pick up. And after a while, I was like, okay, I'm getting $400 or $500 a day. I'm like, okay, it's proven. I tested it. It makes money, low overhead. My cost is about, $30, $40, but I'm making $400 or $500. Like, this is the move. Like let's take this serious.
So is that the point where you thought, okay, I have a business here? Because I know that a lot of people, they're like having a some type of weight loss journey or health journey, and they're going on social media and they're sharing it.
Right.
But I think that they're probably thinking, how can I transition this into a business? So at what point did you think, okay, I really do have a business here?
Probably when I came into the TSP community. I mean, when I ran into you all, I ran into one of Lamar's ads, and I was like, man, this guy is speaking my language. I mean, like, he's hitting all of the points. And by that time, I told people before, I had already lost 6 figures just dibbling and dabbling in all kinds of business ventures. So I was like, well, since my program isn't working, let me get with somebody else's program. So when I joined TSP, specifically the mastermind, and I got around other entrepreneurs, I found out, I was like, man, dude, you got a real business. Because I was hearing other figures, I was hearing other numbers, and I'm like, man, I'm doing numbers. And I was like, this is a real deal. Yeah. So until I came into like the TSP ecosystem, that's when I found out. I was like, this thing is real. But before, I probably would have been just a side hustle,
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, I mean, I've already heard you give 3 major pivots, right? The first thing was just in your health, with your health.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is with your business, like deciding that you're going to do a business. But the pivot behind that is that you chose to invest, to learn how to make it a business versus struggling on your own. Right. And so that's what I heard, which is a really big deal because people are out here struggling for too long, I would think.
For years.
Yeah.
Prior to joining TSP, I probably had 7-8 years under my belt of just losing money. Just like, hey, 30,000 over here sounds like a deal. Jump in it, lose the money. Hey, that sounds good. And I found myself just hopping for money grabs.
What was the difference, you think?
For what?
From like that previous time to when you inside of the TSP ecosystem.
TSP, it was more structured. It was more predictable. It was more like, hey, this is how you really do it. And we got 300 other businesses that we have helped do it. I was like, if they got that much, results, I'm like, I know it can work for me. And so when I came to my first conference back in, I want to say 2019, and I saw all of those black people get on the stage, I was like, that's me. That's me. I was like, I decided from that moment, I was like, I'm getting up there. I don't know how I'm gonna get up there. I know I'm doing $500-600 a day, but I'm gonna get to that 6-figure point. And so it was a game changer when I came around and I saw other people. And what I see these days is just too many entrepreneurs are siloed. I mean, they're by themselves. They got an uncle or friend or somebody that's doing it, like, hey, we've been doing this for all these years, but like you said, Lamar, just because you've been doing all these years doesn't mean you've been doing it right.
There's a lot of people been in business 20, 30 years and still don't make no money.
No money.
Still struggling, still trying to, find a way to make a way, turn a dollar into,
Right.
I'm going to say turn a dollar into 15 cents. That don't feel right.
that's backwards. That's backwards. Okay.
That's what
Make a dollar out of 15 cents. There we go.
That's what's happening.
It don't feel right.
Yeah.
But it is what's happening, right? They start with a dollar, they end up with 15 cents, and they thinking the business don't work.
Right.
But it's not the business. Sometimes it's just the things you're doing with the business, the way you market the business.
Yeah, you need tools, you need strategy, you need education. And I was open to that because I come from a cybersecurity background. So I'm like, I'm used to that world, the corporate world. And I was like, well, I've always done like these little side ventures. So I'm like, I can learn. I mean, I learned how to lose this weight. I learned how to go plant-based. I learned how to make sea moss and all this stuff. If I can do all of that, surely I can learn a funnel. I can learn how to build a website. I can learn how to get VAs. I can learn how to, do collaborations and build audiences. So I learned all of that in there because I was a pure just green, like just off the street, like just a hustler that, hey, took a lot of losses. And I was like, I'm turning that around. I'm making a change now.
Right. So I can imagine like, okay, so first of all, our families, they joke on us for the most positive things. like I'm getting my health right. Oh my God, you're eating those vegetables. Like, right. Okay, right. So now you're looking towards entrepreneurship, right? Okay. And you have a successful career. Right. You have a successful corporate career making good money. Right. And now you're looking towards entrepreneurship and maybe even branching out in that direction. What does that look like as far as with your friends and family?
They're very supportive.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Now they are.
Okay.
But I had to prove the point. I had to, because people don't believe nothing when you talk. But when I showed them and I, showed them a few screenshots and they saw like, hey, the momentum that you have on social media and in live events too, because before COVID came around, I was heavy in the vending space, like one of the first ones that was like really pushing CMOS like on the pavement, selling out the trunk. And that's when Lamar told me like, hey man, maybe you want to do Facebook ads because you're running all the way around the city when you can just run.
If we can, let's talk about that a little more, right? Because I know a lot of people, I feel like that's what I see with most black businesses.
Yes.
I feel like we're doing it the harder way.
Yes.
Right. And that's what I love about, the plant-based Jeff brand. I seen it where, Jeff like, hit y'all up late. I got to make a couple drop-offs.
Yeah.
around the city to like, you making and, putting in jars yourself to having a team to do it to now you got manufacturers that do it.
Right,
Like, tell us about that journey through it, and
right.
how'd you get from there?
And it was definitely a journey. So going back to what you're saying, I was just driving all around Atlanta, just meeting people, and I'm like, it really don't make sense. And a lot of entrepreneurs are doing stuff that doesn't make sense until somebody points it out. And Lamar was like, dude, what you doing, man? Like you went all the way around town for $120. You got to cover gas. You got to cover this. Like, do the Facebook ads, do this. But a lot of stuff was grassroots. It was like started in the basement. I had a area down there was just completely just dedicated like to CMOS and whatnot. And so just started like just grinding from there and just helping a lot of people during COVID. Because I knew a lot of nurses, a lot of doctors, a lot of people in that space. So they knew about CMOS and they were like, hey, we're around all these people every day. We need it. And so those were like, some of my first customers was like my coworkers and then a lot of people in the medical field. And then it just word started to spread. But going from that point, from doing it myself, having a mini family business where, I got, cousins and everybody just kind of helping out, packing CMOS, doing what we can, shipping, till running into other people that was like, hey, we can do this for you. I was like, man, I should have ran into you like 3 years ago. we could be up a few M's, but everything comes in time. But at this point, I have different, co-packers. And that was one of the things that you mentioned back in the day. Can somebody but nobody was doing it at the time. And so now the game has evolved a lot more with CMOS. So people are co-packing, people are we're getting into the shelf stable business with the gel. So that's a game changer. So
you can go to retail.
Yeah, we
can sit on the shelves.
I can send 20,000 jars to Whole Foods, or I can send 30,000 jars to Amazon and put it on Prime. And so now people are not waiting. Hey, they don't have to wait 3 to 5 days to get it. They can get it overnight, because how quick Amazon is these days. You got same day delivery, next day or whatnot. And so that's what we're gravitating towards now.
So Jeff, all of those were big moves. Like, what do you think is the key to you thinking bigger and investing bigger and going to that next step in your business?
I think for one, the losses, I tell people it's never a loss. It's always just expensive lessons. I'm like, the money's gone. Like I never sit back and be like, man, I lost $100,000 because I know I made it up somewhere else. Because that's all life is about, is just, checks and balances. Like, hey, you're losing over here, you're winning over here, and just as long as you just keep pushing through. But I would say the game changer is coming to TSP, coming to Traffic Sales and Profit, getting around other people, and like, it's other people, real people out here that are either working jobs or doing, entrepreneurship full time, and getting around that campfire, getting around other people. And it just changed my mind when I started to see other people that are doing 8 figures a year, 7 figures a year. I'm like, man, I'm in the same room. Like, I'm texting these people like these are my people, And so once I got that exposure, I was like, man, I can go much bigger. I can go much bigger, because for the longest, I just kept thinking about the business as a side hustle. Like, hey, this is something I do. I got the corporate gig, and then I have this. And like somebody always said, and I believe Lamar said this, is the mindset of the owner is directly tied to the success of the business. So if you think it's a small business, you're going to operate in a small business manner, and everything is going to give you smaller results. And so when I started to think like, hey man, we're a corporation. Like, I don't even think like I can do it all anymore. I need a customer service team. I need a marketing team. Back then I had, what were the people that, copywriters? Chat GBT now, but I still like copywriters. But copywriters. Right now I'm looking like for another business manager to take me out of more so like some of the day-to-day stuff. And you learn to grow. You just learn, like, if you really want to operate a business, it has to operate without you.
And that's good too, because you're still working 9 to 5, successful 9 to 5. Right. Doing that, you don't want to leave.
Right. And I'm in management, so I manage people in both areas. So I take and pull from both areas. It's things that I learned from the entrepreneur world, and I plug that into corporate. And they're like, man, how are you getting this done? I can get on anybody's calendar. I mean, the hardest person. They're like, how do you do this? I'm like, marketing. Marketing, I'm pinging you, I'm texting, I'm doing the same thing that I do in e-commerce. I'm sending emails, texting. So a lot of the principles that I use from sales and marketing, I use that in corporate, and it helps me, like, you know, they see me as a superstar, like this guy can get stuff done. But in the same token, I borrow things from the corporate structure and bring it over to Plant-Based Jeff and say, hey, we need to do it like this. We need a project manager. We need a project plan. And we need to run it like this. And so they both kind of feed each other.
Definitely. I tell people all the time, so much of what I do day to day has its fingerprints, right, traced back to what I did in corporate.
Right.
What I learned in corporate and what I saw in corporate, and then being able to, build those things to your own. But that's what I think the conversations they be having online is just stupid.
Right. I mean, you said so many important things, so many nuggets, right? So first of all, I think there's so much pressure out there for people to choose entrepreneurship or corporate, right? And depending on which side you're on, you'll make the other side look so bad. Like, really putting the guilt on entrepreneurs. You have to quit your job. And so I love it that you're here saying, I love my corporate job, and I also love my business. And your business is not a struggle business. It's not even a hustle, right? You're making some serious money in your business, and consciously saying, I am going to continue to work in corporate because I enjoy it, and then also run my business. And so I love it. I love it. It's a good message to put out there.
And the way you talk about it, actually, I'm thinking about it because I, work with so many entrepreneurs and seeing this out of so many businesses. It may have actually even helped you that you didn't want to leave. Because it forced you to build more structure around that business, where a lot of people can't get out the weeds because, like, they're just in the weeds every day. But you like, yo, I got to find a better way because I don't have all the time to do that. So how can I level up? How can I, like you said, be the CEO, be the chairman of the board, and just make the calls, move the chess pieces around the board instead of being hands-on doing all this stuff every single day.
Right. Because when you caught in the weeds, you can't see what's in front of you because you get so busy and tuned into, like, hey, let me do this one little thing, and then it adds up to you not getting anything done. And so the moves that you can make, like the more strategic moves, to grow your business 10x, 20x, you can't see if you're doing the day-to-day. If I'm in the back baking cakes, how can I say, hey, maybe I need to be the spokesperson for the cake factory and speak to that and get me some bakers in there, and then I can take this thing and franchise it out. And so that's the same mindset I have. It's like, get me out of the day-to-day. I love strategy. I love marketing. That's where I'm the rainmaker. When the money comes in, you can count on me for that. But like customer service, making gel, I can't make gel anymore unless it's for myself. But back then, we were doing, 100, 150 jars a day, with a couple people. And, it starts to take a toll on you. I'm like, hey, man, I still got to log into these meetings, and then I got blenders running. I got all of this stuff going, and so
they like, man, what is that noise in the background? Whose Zoom is unmuted? That man got 20 blenders on the counter cooking up CMOS.
So you have to. It forced me to like find a way, because if I would have left, and the good thing I didn't left, because I had to do a pivot as well when the economy took a turn. I was like, man, I was so focused on Plant-Based Jeff sometimes, like, no, I need to probably focus back over here, bump up a few pay levels so that I can hire somebody to run it more efficiently. So that was my pivot when things slowed down. Was like, hey, let me look back at my career, because I'm very good at what I do, but I've missed out on a few promotional opportunities, focusing on the business. Let me focus over here now. Let me get a few jumps up there. Add, another 50, 60K, to the income, and like, hey, let me just take a portion of that and get me 2 more people and like really just scale this thing. And so that was kind of like my pivot. Like when things got slow, I didn't say, hey, I'm going to throw the business away. because a lot of people, they did that because COVID gave, false hopes and false expectations. We thought we were going to have PPP around forever. I'm like,
giveth, COVID, take it away at the end, boy.
Yeah, and it's still taking.
Yeah, right. You're right. Like a lot of people we saw, boom up into the highs, then that thing dropped back out to the lows. But I think the message out of that, we talk about pivot. The message out of that for everybody that's watching is that when the times are good, you got to go hard. I remember telling that to you, telling to everybody, yo, now's the time when the ads working, run all the ads.
Yep.
When the customers are coming, acquire all the customers. You got to get as much as you can while it's on the table, because in entrepreneurship, it's going to be lean times.
Right.
Anybody out here talking to these folks on Instagram or Facebook acting like everything always going to be good, they just ain't been in business long enough.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like if you're in business long enough, it's going to be, like you said, ebbs and flows. The thing is, can you just stay in the game? It ain't always about booming or hitting the most or making the most. Some years it's just about, hey, can I just survive to the next year? And the companies like yours that don't fold up, but to say, hey, even if we slow down and we can just be steady through the process, you position yourself so that when everything come back around, because it's going to be a time when it come back around, boom, it's ready to take off, hit the next level.
Right. And I like that point that you made, and you always said that. I was speaking to somebody else the other day, that window of opportunity always closing. And so I was like, and Lamar was one of the main ones when I was like, hey man, I'm spending 15, 20 grand. This is just too much for me. Like, he was like, dude, pour gasoline on it. You spend 20, spend 40, spend 60. And I wish I would have, put my foot to the pedal, but, being a little bit apprehensive, I was still kind of like, I'm kind of in a safe space. 70, 80 grand a month ain't bad, because I'm like, man, I'm making my salary, that type of deal. But like you said, go hard as you can while you can, because you just never know when the faucet gets cut off.
So good.
So Jeff, we talked about the fact that window of opportunity, it's finite, right?
Right.
And it's limited, but at the same time, you can continue to stay in business. You can continue to thrive, but you have to pivot.
Right.
And pivot is strategic. Right? And you're thinking, you're planning ahead of time for that moment where you may have to change course or change direction.
Right.
So are you thinking about any pivots right now for your business? The economy, people are saying that there's a recession. There's so many people going out of business right now. How are you setting yourself up to be here in the long run?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So right now, the main pivot is what I spoke to before. It's like bringing a few extra people in to help us out, but also just going deeper into our niche, because we tried different herbs, we tried tinctures, and I'm like, man, but people want the sea moss. Like, they want the gel, they want the capsules, they want the gummies, they want the dry. So I've been just doubling down and figuring out, how can we take this more retail? How can I go into small businesses that are trying to do sea moss and say, hey man, I can give you 100 jars that's gonna last for a year. Like, you don't even have to worry about putting them in a refrigerator. So going more that wholesale route, more that Mary Kay distribution. I'm thinking about doing a pivot there where, hey, you can be an authorized seller of plant-based sea moss. You don't have to build your brand up, just sell mine. It already has the name, all of that. It's kind of, because I have a biz in a box program now. And what I did was just create a bunch of competitors. So now I'm like, man, I created the competition.
Plant-based Derek out there, plant-based Keisha.
Everything. I'm like, Soldier Boy, you copying my whole style. Like, they copying everything. But I taught them. I was like, so when I see a lot of stuff, you see a lot of stuff in the social media streets, I'm like, man, I think I started that. But, sometimes you create the competition. But at the same time, I should have been thinking more so like, how can I just expand the brand more versus trying to, give people the secret sauce, give you the sauce, but still keep, my thing around it. But, you learn, know, but, we're always pivoting, if things are slow, like last year, I think last year was probably flat, but my thing was just stay in the game. Like I didn't lose money, didn't make money. But I'm like, hey, I served my customers. The business is still around. I'm like, this year, hey, we're focusing on profit. You know, what do we got to slice? What do we got to cut? You know, we're running, you know, lean. You know, people we had to let go, you know, just because we're like, hey, we just can't afford that in the payroll. And so it's been like many pivots, switching suppliers, switching anything that you can think about. You just got to pivot, and you got to know when to pivot, because at the end of the day, the business has to survive, and nobody cares if I put on social media plant-based Jeff is gone, people will be like, hey, another one.
Right.
And, you know, and it just reinforces their insecurities, because people look for that. People feed off of that when they say, oh, that place closed in Atlanta. You're like, man, I told you it's bad out here.
Right.
I need to close my little business down.
And a lot of time when you close down too, it gives somebody else permission.
Yes.
Somebody else that was hanging on like I can make it. When they see you close down, they say, you know what? I looked up to Jeff. So if he can't make it,
I can't either.
I can't either.
And that's what I think about. I'm like all the time, like if I shut down, like I shut down a lot of dreams and opportunities. So that carries me, you know. Customers are looking for me, you know, other business owners that we supply along the supply chain. A lot of people depend on plant-based Jeff in their business. So if I were to fold, that could be like a catastrophic, you know, domino effect in the health and wellness space. So that keeps me going.
I love it, man. So
yeah,
I love it, man. So I want to say thank you again for coming to the pivot point. Ronnie, that was good, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
All right.
So I want to tell all of you, right? Guess what? Like, just like Jeff said, if you have a great year, bad year, don't matter. What matters is that you survive to see the next year. Like, that's the most important part. And guess what? You can do it. A few pivots may be in your path, but everything can be made possible. We want you to lock in. We want to make sure you subscribe, right? Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the Pivot Point so that you can keep getting these authentic, transformational, real life. These real life stories, Ronnie?
Yes, very real.
They real? How real would you say on a scale of 1 to 10?
11.
There we go. It gets no realer, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, these 11 type stories of entrepreneurs that have pivoted, right? Found the thing that they are called to do and making it happen. And we want you to be one too. You can find Jeff's information down below. You can find our information for traffic, sales, and profit down below. And listen, Ronnie, I'm not letting you off the hook. We said before, right? What percentage of Black Americans are vegetarian or vegan? You said you ain't know. You got to give me an answer.
I think out of all Black Americans, what percentage? Maybe like 1 or 2%.
See, this is why we have shows like this, people. Black people hold Black people down. It's 8%, Ronnie. 8%. Okay. It's way bigger than your 1 or 2. You know, you're from the South. So
from the South.
S-O-U-F.
So first of all, 8% is great. Second of all, that's great for Jeff, right? Because now he has so much more opportunity. He has to get that word out there to so many more of us. But yeah, I'm proud of us for 8%. So yeah.
There we go. All right. Great recovery, babe. All right, y'all. I want to tell you, right? Guess what? Change your lifestyle, change your business. You can don't forget, you want to learn more about this. We have a great show called Black Business Icons. We feature Pinky Cole, who has built a $100 million valued company around this vegan food movement. You can check it out here and everything else on the channel. We'll see you next time on The Pivot Point.